July of 2018, financial analysts stumbled across a line item in Burberry annual financial report. Burberry casually revealed that the cost of finished goods physically destroyed in the year was £28.6 million. When journalists began digging through historical filings, they uncovered something far more disturbing. Over a single 5-year window, Burberry had sent more than $120 million in brand new pristine luxury merchandise directly into industrial furnaces. We aren't talking about damaged goods, factory floor scraps, or defective prototypes. These were perfectly fine hand-stitched trench coats, virgin cashmere scarves, and structured calfskin totes, fresh off the assembly line, completely flawless and completely destroyed. The public reaction was immediate and fierce. Environmental groups staged protests, shareholders demanded answers, and social media exploded with outrage. How could a company that markets itself on craftsmanship and refined elegance justify setting fire to millions of dollars of physical wealth while millions of people lived in poverty? As the media fallout reached a fever pitch, industry insiders quietly admitted an open secret. Burberry wasn't an isolated villain. They were simply the only ones careless enough to let the accounting line item leak into a public filing. And across the English Channel in Geneva, Swiss luxury conglomerate Richemont, the parent company behind Cartier, Montblanc, Vacheron Constantin and a WC, was executing a quiet destruction campaign of its own. Over a 2-year period, Richemont systematically bought back over $500 million worth of its own luxury timepieces from retail partners across Europe and Asia. Once those gold, steel and diamond-encrusted watches arrived back at company headquarters, technicians didn't refurbish them. They didn't rebox them for secondary markets. They physically dismantled them, crushed the movements, and melted down the precious metals into raw ingots. To anyone grounded in basic commercial logic, this behavior looks like corporate madness. In standard retail, when an item doesn't sell, you lower the price. You run an end-of-season sale, offload the inventory to liquidators like TJ Maxx, or donate the surplus for a modest tax deduction. In high fashion, however, standard retail logic does not apply. In fact, if you run a luxury house according to traditional economics, you will destroy your business. To understand why a brand would choose to incinerate $40 million of merchandise, you first have to understand what a luxury item actually is. In classical economics, goods obey the law of demand. As the price of an item goes down, consumer demand for that item goes up. If a pair of sneakers drops from $100 to $50, you sell more sneakers. Luxury items, however, operate in a rare economic category known as Veblen goods, named after the 19th century Norwegian-American economist Thorstein Veblen. In his seminal work, The Theory of the Leisure Class, Veblen identified a class of products where the traditional demand curve is inverted. A $3,000 leather handbag does not hold keys, wallets, and lip balm 300 times better than a $10 tote from a grocery store. The leather might be softer and the stitch tighter, but the functional utility ceiling is reached very quickly. What the buyer is actually purchasing is a non-verbal social ticket, a signal to the outside world that says, "I am better than you." This brings us to the core vulnerability of every luxury house. Accessibility is fatal. So at the end of the season, if they have 5,000 unsold units, they can't mark those bags down by 70% to clear the floor, because this corrupts the social signal of the wealthy client who spent $3,000. Also, the extraordinary gross margins is needed to pay for the prime real estate on Fifth Avenue, celebrity marketing campaigns, and elaborate runway shows. After the outclash, they stopped burning bags. So how do they create artificial scarcity now? After the exposé on the industry-wide burn pile in 2018, the regulatory landscape began to shift almost overnight. France took the lead in 2020 by passing the historic AGEC law, the Anti-Waste for a Circular Economy Act. For the first time in modern history, a major nation made it explicitly illegal for companies to destroy unsold non-food items, including clothing, shoes, and luxury accessories. To the casual observer, it looked like the era of luxury destruction was over. In reality, the industry simply adapted, replacing the open fire with more sophisticated, stealthy mechanisms of disposal. Instead of burning pristine coats, brands pivoted to physical chemical shredding, breaking down garments into raw fibers under the banner of textile recycling. even if those fibres are ultimately downcycled into industrial insulation or carpet padding. The physical product is still erased from existence, but the legal classification changes from destruction to recycling. Other brands turn to private, highly guarded, invitation-only sample sales. These aren't public clearance events. They take place in unmarked warehouses, accessible only to corporate employees, industry insiders, or VIP clients who are forced to sign strict non-disclosure agreements and non-resale contracts. More recently, luxury houses have begun acquiring or partnering directly with luxury resale platforms. By taking control of the pre-owned market, brands can monitor authentication, control secondary market pricing, and ensure that even used items don't drop below a minimum price floor. At its core, the history of luxury retail reveals a fundamental truth about human psychology and commerce. We do not buy high-end fashion for the thread count, the leather quality, or the movement inside a watch. We buy it for the story, the status, and the boundaries it creates between those who have it and those who do not. A luxury brand is not a manufacturing business. It is a trust engine built on extreme discipline. The moment that discipline slips, the moment the curtain is pulled back and the consumer realizes that the $3,000 bag is sitting in piles in a warehouse, the spell is broken. Whether through industrial incinerators, chemical shredders, the luxury industry will always do whatever it takes to protect its central paradox, that sometimes the most profitable thing you can do with a fortune is to set it on fire. Another reason why this practice won't end is the tariff refund loophole. When a luxury company manufactures a leather coat in Italy or France and ships it into major consumer markets like the United States or the United Kingdom, they don't just pay for manufacturing and freight, they pay heavy import tariffs. International customs codes place import duties on luxury apparel and leather goods, often ranging anywhere from 10% to 20% of the wholesale value, though rates can climb higher depending on classification and prevailing trade policy. If a handbag costs $200 to manufacture and is imported into the United States at a declared wholesale value of $500, the brand might pay $100 upfront in import duties just to get the item through the port of entry. If that handbag sits on a shelf in Manhattan and never sells, the brand is facing a total loss. They have lost the $200 it cost to make the bag, the shipping fees, and the $100 they paid to the government in customs tariffs. If they donate the bag to charity, they might get a basic corporate tax write-off, but they run the risk of the item leaking into the secondary market. If they sell it to an off-price liquidator for $150, they recoup a fraction of their cash, but they risk diluting their brand. This is where international trade law offers a third choice under statutes like Title 19, Section 1313 of the United States Code, a provision known as unused merchandise drawback. Under the duty drawback statute, if an imported commercial good is deemed unsellable or obsolete, the importing company can petition the government for a refund of the tariffs paid. But there is a catch. To claim the refund, the company must provide indisputable proof that the item was either exported out of the country or completely destroyed under official government supervision. Under this legal framework, a brand can invite certified customs officials or accredited third-party auditors into a warehouse. In front of those officials, workers dump crates of unused leather goods into industrial shredders or incinerators. Once the destruction is documented and signed off, the federal government issues a check refunding up to 99% of all the import duties the brand paid when the items entered the country. Look at the cold math facing the chief financial officer. Clear out the surplus on a discount rack, make a tiny profit, and risk permanent damage to a multi-billion-dollar brand image. Or shred the inventory under government supervision, erase the supply from the market, protect the brand's pricing power,